Today is Thursday, March 23rd, 2023, and today is a good day. As I always say, it is a good day because today we received the patch for Elden Ring. Indeed, Patch 1.09 has gone live and it came with some very important changes. Some of these changes are buffs, while others are nerfs. The fact of the matter is that this patch turns out to be important enough that it warrants some serious review. The objective of this video is to highlight some of the most important changes that this patch brings to the table, always following my own personal opinion. My dear viewer, please be advised that I will not be going over every single change. You are more than capable of reading the full patch notes if you wish. That being said, it is impossible to ignore that some of these changes are much bigger than others and they lead to much larger results. At the end of the day, whether we like it or not, Patch 1.09 has left us with some winners and some losers. Let's get started. The first one is a quick one. If you're the type of player that likes to use elemental infusions in your weapons, then you come out a winner. Indeed, FromSoft has increased the damage scaling of weapons that are infused down the magic, fire, flame art, lightning, and sacred paths through Ashes of War. The additional scaling they received is not a lot, but it is more. After testing some weapons, I have seen that there is about a 2 or 3% increase in AR. This may not sound like a lot, because it isn't. That being said, it is free damage. There is no need to change your build, your weapon, or your Ash of War. You just turn on the game and you are already doing more damage. There is nothing bad about this. This one is my personal favorite and I am very happy about it. If you like to use great hammers and great axes as much as I do, well, congratulations, because we are winners. Great hammers and great axes have received more attribute scaling, meaning more damage. They also get better attacks, because some of them are now quicker to come out, faster in their recovery, and they have more reach. But that's not all. These two weapon types also get faster guard counters. All of this is perfect for my favorite build and the one that I will be using when the DLC comes out. If you're curious about the build, you can get the link to the guide in the description of this video. But for now, let's focus on what this means. First of all, the damage increase is much the same as we saw with the elemental infusions. It is about 2 to 3% additional damage. This is thanks to the additional attribute scaling that these weapons will get. Now, as for some attacks being faster and having more range, I have done some testings and let me tell you, I am very impressed with the speed of the regular R2s that these weapons have. I noticed that if we attack with a normal R2 without charging, it comes out very fast. It looks almost as fast as the R1s. In all honesty, there are many situations now where using an R1 is really not worth it. Just go for the regular R2. And then, of course, we get faster guard counters. This is important because it reduces the possibility of being interrupted by enemy attacks, while it also increases the chances of us interrupting our enemies. Overall, faster guard counters really benefit the use of a great shield, and that is something that I really like to use. If you're looking to play a tank type character, then this additional value that we get from guard counters is a very important increase to the power of our builds. The amount of poise damage that Great Hammer and Great Axe guard counters do is very high, and being able to do this faster will lead to more stance breaks. This means more critical hits, and that means more damage. It is all profit for the tank. Overall, if you're like me, a connoisseur of the big weapons, then you will be very happy with what is happening in version 1.09. But hey, we are not done yet with the big boy weapons, because we need to talk about an old friend, the Great Club. Finally, this weapon has received the treatment it deserves. It took FromSoft more than a year, but we got there. The Great Club has received additional attribute scaling, meaning additional damage, as well as brand new holy damage with its very own faith scaling. The combination of these two changes make the Great Club go from an extremely disappointing weapon to one of the best weapons in the game for big boy strength faith characters. Before, in version 1.08, this weapon would have about 730 AR when two-handing it at 55 strength. Now, in version 1.09, the weapon enjoys a brutal 922 AR when two-handing it at 55 strength and 30 faith. Sure, this is split damage and it has to go through multiple defenses. No one will argue against that. But still, it is impossible to ignore the raw damage boost that it has received in this upgrade. The weapon may not be the absolute best at all times, but like I said, for a strength faith big guy, this is one of the best. I'll give you one final note about the weapon. It only weighs 17 units. For a colossal weapon, this is light, and that means that you can get this level of carnage for less investment into endurance. I don't know about you, but I am already getting my Tree Sentinel armor ready to make a Golden Paladin. Alright, let's be honest. Flails were never a good weapon type in Elden Ring. They got too many things that don't work well. Fortunately, FromSoft is making changes to the weapon type in order to improve it. In version 1.09, Flails are much better. I am not saying that they're great, but I will say that they are good enough. Specifically, they receive faster attack speed and quicker recovery at all times, on top of more poise damage when they are two-handed. The combination of this gives Flails a lot more total attack speed and a much lesser sluggish feeling. If we combine these new buffs with the things that Flails already have, like innate bleed and strike type damage, then we can agree that they have become much better. In my opinion, Flails are now actually relatively useful for PvE. Sure, they are still far from being the best, but we cannot deny that they are better. More importantly, they are still very fun to use. And honestly, my dear viewer, when fun things get better, we are all winners. So tell me, do you like the classical style of sword and board gameplay? That old school D&D feeling of a longsword and a shield? You do? Hell, then you are a winner. Indeed, straight swords have received a number of fantastic buffs. I honestly cannot believe it because I think that straight swords were already some of the best weapons in the game. Nevertheless, they have received faster running attacks with less recovery frames, a faster first swing, and a faster guard counter. I have to be honest and say that the increases in speed are not huge, but they are noticeable and they will make a difference. After some light testing, I felt that the running R2 of the longsword was much easier to use. By this, I mean that it was quicker to attack and it let me roll out of the way faster as well. Overall, this allowed me to be more mobile with my character while maintaining an offense. On top of this, the fact that it now has a faster first swing allows it to get a bit of priority when getting the first strike. All of these changes work together to obtain what I just mentioned, a more mobile weapon. Honestly, I think that straight swords have some of the best movesets in the game, and being able to use these moves with more fluidity is extremely valuable. The final change in regards to the faster guard counter is there, but less noticeable in my opinion. I tried a few guard counters and they were definitely faster, I will admit, but not so much that I was able to get out more of them in between enemy attacks. That being said, it is impossible to ignore that quicker straight sword guard counters have been very useful at interrupting the enemy offense, which, in turn, gives us time and space to take advantage of the higher mobility I mentioned before. I have to say, straight swords are looking to be really strong. I don't do a lot of PvP, but I think that they are a good contender for a possible new meta. In the end, only time will tell, but what I will say for sure is that straight swords are big winners. The final winner I want to highlight is each and every one of you viewers that likes to use Dragon Communion incantations. In version 1.09, the Roar Medallion now affects all Dragon Communion incantations except for two, the Claw and the Maw. All of the others are now buffed by this medallion. All of the basic Dragon Breaths, all of the upgraded Dragon Breaths, and Grey Knoll's Roar as well. This talisman now increases the damage of all of these incantations by 15%, and that is huge. Let me run you some basic Dragon Priest numbers. At 45 Faith and 45 Arcane, the Dragon Communion Seal plus 10 has an incantation scaling of 336. That's pretty good, and it will give us some good basic damage on our incantations. Now, let's start adding the buffs. The Dragon Communion Seal increases our Dragon Communion incantation damage by 15%. For maximum efficiency, we will have 2 of them equipped, one in each hand, so that we can get this 15% bonus damage twice. If you're not sure what I am talking about, this is what I like to call dual wield casting, where we take advantage of catalyst damage bonuses by stacking 2 of them together, one in each hand. If you want more information on this, there is a link to a video where I explain it in the description. But for now, let's focus on the fact that we get 2 separate 15% bonuses from 2 separate Dragon Communion Seals. To this, we can add the Phlox Canvas Talisman for an additional 8% incantation damage, and then we finish with the brand new updated Roar Medallion for yet another 15% damage boost. Since Elden Ring stacks all of these boosts multiplicatively and not additively, we get a huge final increase to our Dragon Communion incantations. In fact, the total increase of all of these tools that I mentioned is 64%. Our Dragon Communion incantations will deal a total of 64% additional damage when focusing all of these buffs. This is huge, and just one single talisman change has given Dragon Priests a magnificent power boost. If you like the Dragon Miracles, then you are a winner. Unfortunately, not everything can be a winner, and that means that there are some losers in Patch 1.09. The first thing that got the nerf in this patch is a PvP build that focuses on one-shotting opponents by stacking jump attack damage. Please be clear that these nerfs are for PvP only. If you want to use this kind of build in PvE, then nothing will change for you. Overall, two-handed jump attacks have been nerfed, Royal Knight's Resolve has been nerfed, the Claw Talisman has been nerfed, and the Black Raptor's Feathers have also been hit by the hammer. The objective is to severely lower the total jump attack damage that is achievable in a PvP scenario. In this way, it will be much more difficult to one-shot other players with a single jump attack. Now, that is the theory. We will see how it pans out in reality, but the fact remains that there will be less damage on the table for these builds. You can agree or disagree with these nerfs. You can try to argue that it is easy to dodge jumping attacks. I personally will not get into this argument, but we cannot ignore the fact that FromSoft has been making attempts at eliminating one-shot builds. It happened in earlier patches when multiple Ashes of War were nerfed, for example, Glintstone Pebble, and I believe that it will continue to happen until there are no more one-shot possibilities left in PvP. Honestly, I think that it will be difficult to achieve true balance, but it is a step in the right direction. I have to say that this one-shot jump build was fun to use, but I can understand that it is not fun to get one-shotted, so the nerfs are warranted. In any case, whether we like it or not, one-shot jumps come out as losers. You know that Simpsons meme where Krusty's beating up some criminal and the kid is screaming for him to stop as he already looks dead? Yeah? Well, that's kind of how I feel about bleed builds right now, because once again, they got hit by the hammer. For whatever reason, FromSoft has made a very clear decision to not nerf the bleed status effect, and instead nerf all of the different support that the game offers for the bleed status effect. First, it was Seppuku. Then, we got less status buildup from dual-wield weapons. And now, the White Mask and Lord of Blood's Exaltation Talisman have just been hit by the hammer. Again, let me make this very clear, this is a PvP-only nerf and nothing has changed for PvE. Specifically, White Mask and Lord of Blood's Exaltation will be less efficient, which I can only assume means that the attack boost they give will be reduced. Do I understand this change? Yes, I do. Was the change warranted? Probably. That said, I actually believe that not much will change from this. The problem with bleed, and any other status effect for that matter, is the fact that in PvP, it is possible to apply bleed or sleep or whatever even when the opponent dodges the attack. This is a netcode issue in Elden Ring's multiplayer, and I think that status effect builds will continue to be strong until this is resolved. Maybe there is no way to resolve it, but nerfing absolutely everything else that surrounds the bleed status effect seems to be a bit aggressive. I mean, sleep is still going to be a thing in PvP, and I believe that this is much scarier than bleed. But anyways, this is just my opinion. The fact remains that, once again, bleed builds come out as losers. Now, my dear viewer, I wish to apologize to you. Normally, I try to keep a very professional attitude in my videos, and I try to be respectful towards everyone without any judgments. That being said, when it comes to cheating, I draw the line. I am sure that you know of the Fire's Deadly Sin exploit with Blood Flame Blade, in which a player was able to obtain a continuous bleed application by simply being near an enemy. This exploit was featured in an IGN build guide. Well, if you are a player that used this exploit in order to obtain an unfair advantage in PvP and make the game less fun for everyone, please remember to go fuck yourself. As of now, this exploit has been patched and it is no longer operational. It took FromSoft a long time to get this fixed, and I am sure that it was because of some kind of technical difficulty that I am unable to understand. Nevertheless, this is no longer a thing, and the game is better for it. I am actually not sure if the patch notes were specific about this. Maybe the notes that I am showing you on screen right now are not the correct ones. It could be that the exploit was removed but not specifically mentioned in the notes. Regardless of the case, it is gone, and Elden Ring is a better game without it. I want to end this section by reminding all of my dear viewers that if you are using an exploit in a PvP environment to get an advantage, even if you win, you're still a fucking loser. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I wanted to highlight those notes that I believe would have the highest effect on the game. Obviously, there are other changes. A lot of Ashes of War received buffs, and other weapon types like the claws have also got better. Nevertheless, I think that the ones that we went over in this video really give the image of improvement that we want to see for Elden Ring. Overall, I believe that Patch 1.09 is very good for the game. There are a lot of changes that go in the right direction, both in the cases of buffs and in the cases of nerfs. I think that the game will be more fun now for more players, and that is always a good thing. I love this game. It has completely absorbed my recreational life, and quite frankly, nothing makes me happier than seeing it prosper. I hope that the things that you, my dear viewer, like to use got buffed, and I hope that you are able to obtain more value from this beautiful experience that we like to call Elden Ring. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope that I do get to see you on the next one.